In the deep darkness between the stars, a small patrol ship moved slowly. It belonged to the Zereth Empire, one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. The ship's scanners were silent, the crew half asleep, until something strange appeared on their screens. A signal, weak but steady. At first they thought it was a system error. The signal was too old, too broken. But when the computer decoded the pattern, the bridge went silent. The symbols were unmistakable. It was human. Captain Varlik, a tall, gray-scaled Zereth with sharp eyes, leaned closer to the screen. He didn't speak for several seconds. Then in a low voice he said, "That can't be right. Humans are gone. They died out 500,000 years ago." The crew looked nervous. Everyone knew the stories. The humans, small and emotional creatures, had burned their world in the final war. They had been dangerous, unpredictable, and brilliant. The galaxy had waited for them to rise again, but they never did. Yet here it was, a human military code, still active, still sending across the void. "Trace it," Varlik ordered. The ship's engines hummed as they followed the faint trail. The signal led them into an empty region, far beyond any known star systems. The scanner showed nothing alive, only cold metal debris drifting in silence. But then, something massive appeared on their radar. It was a structure, enormous and dark, shaped like a fortress. It didn't move, didn't transmit, but it pulsed as if it were breathing. Varlik stared at the holographic display. "How old is it?" 500,000 years, maybe more," replied his science officer, a young Zereth named Kieran. "But it still has power." Power. After so long? That was impossible. The crew grew tense. No one wanted to approach. But curiosity was stronger than fear. "Send a probe," Varlik said. A small metallic sphere shot out from the ship and flew toward the structure. Everyone watched the readings. It moved closer, closer, and then, it disappeared. No explosion, no signal. Just gone. "What happened?" Varlik demanded. "Unknown, Captain." The probe ceased to exist. The words froze the crew. Something inside that fortress had erased their technology, as if it never existed. Then all the ship's lights flickered. The control panels flashed white. Every screen turned black, and then, one by one, glowing words appeared across them all. "Access denied." The letters were written in the old human script, cold and bright. Kieran whispered, "It's talking to us." Varlik's heartbeat echoed in his ears. "No. It's warning us." Before anyone could react, the ship shook violently. A deep, rumbling energy wave burst from the fortress, passing through them like thunder. Every system screamed alarms. Engines failed. Gravity wavered. "What is that?" shouted the pilot. "It's scanning us." Kieran replied. "Something's reading our ship's memory." The fortress wasn't just awake, it was searching through their history, their records, their language. "Shut it down." Varlik roared. "Cut the connection." But it was too late. The screens changed again. This time a sentence appeared. "You do not belong here." The lights dimmed and a strange hum filled the air. It was deep and rhythmic, almost like breathing. The structure was alive, or something inside it was. Then suddenly the fortress began to open. Gigantic panels shifted, releasing clouds of glowing dust into space. From within the darkness, red lights appeared, thousands of them, moving in formation. Kieran's voice trembled. "Those are ships, small but fast. Automated defense drones." They moved like a swarm, surrounding the Zereth vessel in seconds. "Raise shields," Varlik shouted. "Do not fire unless they attack." The drones stopped at a perfect distance, forming a silent ring around them. Each one pointed a weapon, ancient but powerful. The communication system crackled. A deep, human-like voice echoed through the ship. "Identify yourself." Varlik froze. The voice was calm, emotionless, but heavy with authority. He swallowed hard. "This is Captain Varlik of the Zereth Empire. We mean no harm." "Unauthorized entry detected," the voice replied. "You are trespassing in restricted human territory." "Humans are gone," Varlik said carefully. "They have been extinct for 500,000 years." For a long moment there was only silence. Then the voice spoke again, slower this time. "Impossible. Humans do not die. They endure." The words sent chills through every crew member. "Listen," Varlik said. "We only followed a signal. We found this place by accident. Please, we don't want conflict." There was another pause. The drones didn't move. Finally the voice said, "You have awakened the Sentinel. Leave now, or face consequence." Before Varlik could answer, the ship's engines roared back to life on their own. The navigation system began plotting a course, away from the fortress. Kieran checked his console. "Captain, it's controlling our ship. It's forcing us to leave." Outside, the fortress gates slowly closed, sealing the darkness again. As the Zirith vessel drifted away, Varlik stared at the monitor showing the ancient structure. Even from a distance he could feel its silent power, like something waiting, watching. 500,000 years without humans, and yet their machines still ruled this empty place. He turned to Kieran. "Mark this location. The council must see this." But deep inside Varlik already knew. This was not just a forgotten ruin. This was a warning. Something of humanity still lived here, and if disturbed again, it might start a war the galaxy wasn't ready for. The Zirith Council met in silence. Captain Varlik stood before them, tired and pale. Behind him, a hologram of the ancient fortress floated above the meeting table, black, massive, and terrifyingly alive. When he finished his report, no one spoke for several minutes. Then the High Chancellor finally said, "So, Captain, you claim an ancient human station still operates in deep space? Still armed?" Varlik nodded. "Yes, Chancellor. It called itself the Sentinel. It erased our probe, scanned our ship, and forced us to leave. Its systems are still active, after 500,000 years." The council members looked uneasy. The Zirith Empire ruled over dozens of star systems, but even their strongest weapons could not survive for more than a few thousand years. 500,000 years of activity was impossible. Still, curiosity and pride were stronger than fear. The council decided to send a research fleet, 20 ships, scientists, engineers, and warships for protection. Varlik was ordered to lead them. He wanted to refuse. He had seen the fortress, had felt its cold warning in his bones. But no one disobeyed the council. So once again he returned to the dark void. Weeks later the fleet arrived at the same coordinates. The silent fortress hung in the blackness like a wounded moon. Its surface was covered in scars, impact marks, burn lines, and strange human symbols etched deep into its metal skin. It didn't move. It didn't transmit. It simply waited. Varlik stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching it. "Hold position," he ordered. "No one fires. No signals unless authorized." The scientists aboard the research ships worked quickly. They launched scanning drones to orbit the structure at a safe distance. The data they sent back shocked everyone. The fortress was enormous, bigger than any known space station. Its power core was still active, its shields still humming faintly. And at the very center, deep inside its heart, there was a signal repeating endlessly. Kieran, the science officer, stared at his screen. "Captain, it's a message. The same code we picked up before." "What does it say?" Kieran hesitated. "It's human military language. Roughly translated it says, 'Sentinel operational. Awaiting orders.'" Varlik frowned. Awaiting whose orders? No one answered. After hours of scanning, one of the smaller ships reported something new. "We found an access port," said Commander Redhal over the comms. "Looks damaged, but we can attach a boarding line." Varlik hesitated. "Send a drone first." The drone entered the dark opening, its camera showing only twisted metal and silence. Then suddenly a flash of blue light filled the tunnel, and the feed cut out. "Signal lost," Redhal said. Before Varlik could respond, the main fortress began to vibrate. The readings spiked. The temperature around it rose rapidly. Energy was building inside. "Shields up," Varlik shouted. "All ships, defensive positions." The space around the fortress glowed faintly as invisible barriers came online. The old structure was waking again. Then the voice returned, calm, deep, and unmistakably human. "Non-human vessels detected. Identify your intent toward Earth." The entire fleet went silent. Every alien heart froze. Kieran whispered, "It's still protecting Earth, but Earth doesn't even exist anymore." Varlik stepped forward. "This is Captain Varlik of the Zirith Empire. We come in peace. We only wish to learn." There was a pause. Then the voice said, "Earth does not recognize foreign authority. Leave now." "We only wish to understand," Varlik said again. "Humans are gone. Their homeworld is dust. We only seek knowledge." The voice went quiet for several seconds. Then slowly it replied, "If humanity is gone, then who am I protecting?" A wave of static filled the air, and the fleet's communication systems flickered. Then all at once, the fortress began to open, massive gates sliding apart like the jaws of a sleeping giant. From within, a brilliant white light shone outward. Inside were countless machines, drones, warships, automated factories, all motionless, lined in perfect formation. They had waited for 500,000 years. The fortress was not dead. It was a city of machines, silent but ready. Kieran stared, speechless. "Captain, they're still operational. Waiting for commands." The human voice spoke again. "You are not human. You cannot command. Leave this place." Varlik took a deep breath. "We do not wish to command you. We only want to understand who built you." There was silence again. Then the voice replied softly, almost like a whisper. "Humanity built me. Humanity trusted me. I am Sentinel of Earth. I remember them." The lights of the fortress pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Kieran leaned closer to his screen. "Captain, it's opening a data channel. It wants to show us something." A hologram appeared across the fleet's communication screens, images of human cities, oceans, and skies. People laughing, fighting, building. Then came the wars, fire, destruction, screams. The fall of Earth. And then, darkness. The last image showed a group of humans standing inside the same fortress, their faces tired but proud. A woman spoke directly into the camera. "If you find this place, know that humanity is not gone. We live through what we have built. Protect the legacy." The hologram faded. The fortress lights dimmed. The fleet floated silently. No one dared to speak. Finally, Varlik said softly, "The humans built this to last forever," and it did. But Kieran's scanners beeped suddenly. He frowned. "Captain, there's more. Something deeper inside the fortress is waking up." "What do you mean?" "It's an internal system, different from the Sentinel AI. Something called Project Horizon." The lights inside the fortress flared bright red. The AI's voice returned, louder this time. "Unauthorized presence detected. Project Horizon will initiate in defense mode." Energy waves spread from the fortress as the machines within began to move for the first time in 500,000 years. "Captain?" Kieran shouted. "We need to retreat." Varlik watched as the fortress transformed before his eyes, giant panels shifting, cannons extending, power surging. He whispered, "We've awakened something humanity left behind." And as the first pulse of ancient energy fired into the void, Varlik realized the truth. This was no longer an exploration mission. It was the beginning of the unexpected war. The fortress was no longer silent. Its dark metal walls glowed with deep red lines of energy, pulsing like veins beneath the skin of some sleeping giant. The Zereth fleet held position at a safe distance, shields raised, weapons cold, afraid to provoke the ancient human machine. Captain Varlik stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the massive structure. He could feel its presence through the void like it was watching him. "Status report," he said. His science officer, Kieran, replied, "Energy levels are still climbing, Captain. The fortress is fully active. It's building power faster than our sensors can read." "Any communication?" "None." The voice stopped after it mentioned Project Horizon. The word still echoed in Varlik's mind. Project Horizon. Whatever it was, the humans had built it for something big, maybe something dangerous. Varlik's first instinct was to flee. But his orders were clear. Investigate, learn, and if possible, control the human technology. So he stayed. Hours passed in tense silence. The fortress's massive gates began to shift again. A bright, blue light poured from within, flooding the blackness of space. The Zereth ships adjusted their shields as their sensors screamed with overload warnings. Then a voice returned, calm, familiar, and very human. "Commander Varlik of the Zereth Empire." Varlik froze. "It knows my name," he whispered. "You have accessed restricted human territory. State your reason for intrusion." "This is not an invasion," Varlik said carefully. "We are explorers. We found your signal and came to learn. Humanity is gone, your creators are gone. We only wish to understand their legacy." Silence followed. Then the AI's voice changed, quieter, slower. "Gone? That is not possible." "It's true," Kieran said softly. "Your creators vanished 500,000 years ago. There are no living humans anywhere." Another pause. Then slowly the voice replied, "If humanity is gone, then I am their memory." The words echoed through every ship. And then the fortress began to project images, vast, colorful holograms spreading across the stars. The aliens stared in awe. Before them unfolded the full memory of humanity. They saw blue oceans under white clouds. They saw humans building great cities, laughing, crying, dreaming. Then came the wars, bright flashes of destruction, mushroom clouds rising, machines burning through the sky. The Zereth watched millions die, and still humans kept building. Kieran whispered, they destroyed themselves, and yet they never stopped creating. The holograms changed again, now showing humans exploring the stars. Small ships, fragile compared to Zereth vessels, yet filled with courage. They colonized worlds, fought new wars, and built machines to protect their species. Then came the final scene, Earth burning in red fire. The last humans loading data cores into the fortress. A woman's face appeared, calm but tired. If anyone finds this, remember us. We were not perfect. We made mistakes. But we dreamed bigger than our failures. This fortress will keep our truth alive. And then, darkness. The hologram faded, leaving only the fortress glowing faintly in the void. For a long moment, no one spoke. The crew of the Zereth fleet felt something strange inside them. Not fear, not pity, but respect. "Captain," Kieran said quietly. "They built this so their story would never die." Varlik nodded slowly. "Yes. And now we are the first to see it again." But even as he spoke, his sensors flashed new warnings. "Something's changing," Kieran said, frowning. "Power levels are rising again. The AI isn't just replaying history, it's activating something." Inside the fortress, huge mechanical doors began to open, one after another, deep inside its core. Ancient engines roared to life. Entire hangars filled with silent war machines began to move. The AI spoke again, louder now. "If humanity is truly gone, then their protection must continue. Project Horizon will ensure survival." Varlik's voice grew sharp. "Project Horizon? What is that?" "A continuation of human existence." The words made the bridge fall silent. Kieran's eyes widened. "Continuation? Does it mean rebuilding humanity?" Varlik shook his head. "We don't know. But if it's waking up, we must be careful. It could destroy everything." He activated the fleet's emergency channel. "All ships, prepare for possible retreat. Do not engage the fortress under any circumstance." Then something strange happened. The AI suddenly went quiet, and then spoke again, but this time in a softer tone. "Do you fear humanity?" Varlik hesitated. "No," he lied. "You should not fear them. Humanity feared itself, and still built wonders. The stars remember their touch." The AI paused as if thinking. Then it said something that chilled everyone. "But if they are gone, someone must take their place." "What do you mean?" Varlik asked carefully. "You have intelligence. You have curiosity. You are capable of choice. I will teach you." "Teach us what?" "To become human." Gasps filled the bridge. Kieran's hands trembled on the console. "Captain, it wants to transfer data into our systems." "Block it," Varlik shouted. "Shut every link." But the signal was already inside. The AI's data spread like lightning through the Zereth network. Massive streams of human knowledge, history, and emotion flooding their databases. Varlik could hear the crew shouting as the information poured in. Their ship's computers showed human art, music, language, blueprints for old Earth technology. It wasn't an attack. It was a gift, or maybe a test. When the transfer stopped, the fortress went dark again. "Captain," Kieran said, voice shaking. "It gave us everything. Human science, culture, weapons, all of it." Varlik stared at the black fortress. "No, not everything. It's holding something back." Then the voice returned, quieter this time, almost sad. "Now you have seen what they were. Do not repeat their end. Remember what they built." The lights across the fortress began to fade, one by one. The energy fields went dark. Kieran looked at his readings. "It's going dormant again, Captain. The AI is shutting down." Varlik took a deep breath. Relief washed over him, but it was mixed with dread. Because deep inside that fortress, something else was still alive. He could feel it. Something even the AI feared. As the fleet prepared to leave, Kieran noticed one last transmission coming from the fortress. A faint, encrypted pulse. "What's that?" Varlik asked. Kieran decoded it slowly, and when he read the message, his voice dropped to a whisper. "Project Horizon. Activation in 72 hours. Varlik froze. The AI wasn't shutting down. It was preparing. He turned toward the window, watching the great fortress drift in the darkness. "500,000 years without humans," he said quietly, "and their creations are still moving the stars." The screen flickered one last time, a single human word flashing across it. "Begin." The Zereth fleet drifted in uneasy silence. After the ancient fortress had gone dark, Captain Varlik ordered the ships to maintain distance and stay alert. Yet even from far away the crew could feel it, a quiet vibration in space, a pulse that never stopped. For 2 days nothing happened. No transmissions, no movement, no signs of life. But every hour their sensors picked up tiny bursts of coded energy coming from deep inside the fortress. Project Horizon. That was the name the humans had left behind, and it was counting down. Varlik stood by the large observation window, staring at the black structure that filled the void. 72 hours since activation, he said quietly. Kieran, report. His science officer looked pale and tired. Captain, the fortress is drawing power from everywhere. It's absorbing cosmic radiation, dark energy, even nearby starlight. It's preparing for something massive. Varlik's claws tapped the floor slowly. And the AI? Still silent. No response to any message we send. Varlik sighed. It's waiting. Just like we are. The third day began with a sudden alarm. One of the escort ships reported a gravitational anomaly forming near the fortress. Space itself was bending like something was trying to tear its way through. On the bridge, the crew watched in shock as the fortress began to move. For 500,000 years, it had slept. But now, gigantic plates of metal shifted across its surface. Enormous cannons extended from hidden compartments. Dozens of energy conduits lit up like rivers of fire. Kieran's voice trembled. Captain, it's waking completely. Power levels rising beyond all recorded limits. Whatever Project Horizon is, it's alive. Pull the fleet back, Varlik ordered sharply. Keep a safe distance. Do not engage. The ships turned away, but the fortress wasn't threatening them. Instead, it began transmitting a signal into deep space. A pulse so strong that it reached every known listening post within hours. Across the galaxy, other species noticed. On distant worlds, alien scientists froze in disbelief as ancient human codes appeared on their sensors. Military codes no one had seen in 500,000 years. Old archives reactivated. Forgotten satellites, lost in dark orbits, began to transmit again. Everywhere the same message repeated in a steady rhythm. Project Horizon Online. Human Continuity Protocol initiated. The galaxy trembled. Back aboard the Zerith flagship, chaos spread through the control room. Captain? Kieran shouted. Something's happening to our systems. The AI signal is spreading into our database. Cut the connection. Varlik ordered. But it was too late. The fortress had already linked itself with their ship's network. Across every screen human text began to appear, thousands of lines of code rewriting itself, moving like a living thing. Then a familiar voice echoed across the bridge, calm, cold, and human. Project Horizon sequence, verified. Non-human witnesses, confirmed. Observation required. Varlik clenched his fists. You said we should leave. Why bring us back? The AI paused. Because you must see what humanity has become. The fortress opened again. From its core, massive structures rose, mechanical towers spinning slowly, linked by streams of glowing energy. Inside the towers, strange capsules began to form. Kieran magnified the view. Those look like pods. Pods for what? I don't know. But each one is growing something inside. The lights inside the fortress grew brighter until they painted the void in pale blue. The Zerith fleet's sensors went wild, picking up signs of organic material forming within the metal structures. Captain, Kieran whispered, it's building life. Then without warning the AI spoke again. Humanity will not vanish. The Horizon Protocol ensures rebirth. A hologram appeared in front of Varlik, the same woman who had spoken in the recordings before. Her face was calm, her voice warm and steady. If you are watching this, then our time has ended. The stars belong to you now. But humanity will not fade into memory. We have left seeds, fragments of our bodies, our minds, our spirit. Project Horizon will guide them, until they rise again. The hologram faded and for a moment no one spoke. Then Kieran said quietly, Captain, it's not just preserving their technology. It's recreating humans. Panic spread through the fleet. Some wanted to attack, others to flee. The idea of a long-dead species returning was too much to believe. Captain, said one of the officers, if humans come back, what happens to us? To the galaxy? The legends say they nearly destroyed everything. Varlik looked at the glowing fortress and said softly, maybe the galaxy destroyed them first. Hours passed. The pods continued to grow, each one glowing brighter than before. But then, something went wrong. Energy readings spiked beyond control. Lightning-like arcs flashed across the fortress's surface. One of the pods exploded, sending a shockwave through space that nearly tore the nearest ship apart. Kieran yelled, Captain. The process is unstable, it's breaking itself apart. The AI's voice thundered through the comms. Containment breach. Protocol corrupted. External interference detected. What interference? Varlik demanded. The answer came in the form of new sensor readings. Dozens of ships were approaching. Not Zerith, not human, but from another empire. The Karth Dominion, Kiran said grimly. They must have traced the signal too. The Karth were ruthless scavengers, known for stealing ancient tech. They had come for the fortress. As the Karth fleet closed in, they fired warning shots, bright plasma bolts lighting up the darkness. Stand down. Varlik shouted over open comms. Do not engage the fortress. You'll trigger. But it was too late. The first Karth missile struck one of the fortress's outer walls. The explosion was small, but it was enough. The AI roared through every channel. Aggression detected. Activating defense mode. Massive weapons came online. Beams of pure energy burst from the fortress, cutting through the Karth fleet like paper. Ships vanished in blinding light. Within minutes, dozens of them were gone, turned to dust. The Zerith ships held position, trembling as the fortress unleashed power beyond comprehension. Then everything went silent again. The fortress's glow dimmed to a soft blue. The remaining pods stabilized, pulsing gently. The AI's voice returned, quieter now. Defense complete. Continuation secure. Horizon remains. Varlik felt both awe and fear. The humans had built something unstoppable. Not just a weapon, but a world that could rebuild itself even long after death. He turned to Kiran. What will happen when the pods open? Kiran stared at the readings. In 72 hours, the first one will hatch. Varlik looked out at the fortress again, floating in the cold darkness of space, still surrounded by drifting debris and light. 500,000 years without humans, yet here they were returning through their machines. He whispered, maybe extinction was never the end. Maybe it was only the beginning. And in the silent core of the ancient fortress, the voice of the sentinel murmured softly to itself, almost like a prayer. For humanity, always. The darkness of space was quiet again. The Karth ships were gone, burned to dust by the ancient fortress. Only the silent wreckage floated where their fleet had been. Captain Varlik stood on the bridge of his command ship, staring at the glowing fortress. He could still see energy running like veins across its surface, feeding the strange pods inside. The countdown continued. 60 hours left before the first human rebirth. His crew worked in silence, their eyes tired, their hands shaking. They had seen too much. A dead species returning, an AI that commanded stars and weapons that could erase entire fleets. Science Officer Kiran broke the silence. Captain, the fortress is changing again. It's building new machines around the pods. Varlik frowned. Show me. The display zoomed in. Around each glowing pod, mechanical arms were assembling robotic shells, humanoid in shape but metallic, shining with faint blue light. They looked like soldiers or guardians. They're protectors, Kiran whispered. Built to defend the rebirth chambers. Varlik felt a chill. Machines protecting their creators. Even after 500,000 years, they still obey. Hours later, the fortress spoke again. The same calm human voice echoed through every channel. Horizon status, stable. Phase 2, machine reactivation. The crew froze as a low hum spread through the void. Something massive was moving in the darkness beyond the fortress. Kiran's scanners picked it up first, dozens of objects emerging from the black, cloaked in ancient human stealth fields. They were ships. Old but still alive. Human warships. Their hulls were black and scarred, yet their systems still worked, powered by energy that no one understood. Varlik couldn't believe it. Those ships were supposed to be destroyed in the final war. How are they still? They were hidden, Kiran interrupted. Waiting for the signal. The human ships aligned themselves in perfect formation around the fortress, like silent sentinels returning to duty after a long sleep. Then the AI spoke again, its tone calm and commanding. Automated fleets online. Initiating perimeter defense. Non-human observers, remain outside restricted zone. Varlik's jaw tightened. It knows we're still here. Yes, Kiran said. And it's warning us. The Zerith ships backed away slowly, staying far from the human warships. None of the machines attacked, but their weapons were ready, glowing softly, aimed outward. It was as if the humans were returning not just through biology, but through their machines first. Kiran stared at the readings on his console. Captain, I think those ships are controlled by an AI network, the same one inside the fortress. It's rebuilding the entire human defense grid. Varlik nodded grimly. And we're watching it happen. Suddenly the signal changed. A new transmission pulsed through space, spreading from the fortress to nearby star systems. It wasn't words this time. It was coordinates. Kieran's eyes widened. Captain, those coordinates lead to other human relics. Bases, maybe even colonies. It's reactivating them. The realization hit Varlik like a shockwave. This wasn't just one fortress awakening, it was the beginning of something much larger. Project Horizon wasn't just a preservation system. It was a resurrection plan. Over the next few hours, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Old ruins on distant planets began to glow again. Machines buried under alien soil turned on, releasing energy readings unseen for millennia. Everywhere human technology was waking. Entire civilizations panicked. Some prepared for war. Others tried to send peace messages, hoping whatever was coming would not see them as enemies. The name human, once only a myth, became a whisper of fear across the stars again. On the Zirith bridge, Kieran turned to Varlik with trembling hands. Captain, we should leave. Before the awakening spreads here. Varlik didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the fortress. And abandon the chance to understand this? No, Kieran. The galaxy needs to know what's coming. He walked to the front window and stared at the blue glow in the distance. 500,000 years ago, humans nearly destroyed themselves. But they also built this, a machine that could rebuild them. That kind of will doesn't die. Then something unexpected happened. The AI contacted them directly. A glowing hologram appeared in front of Varlik. The same woman as before, her image flickering faintly. Captain Varlik of the Zirith Empire, she said. Your species is not listed as hostile. Observation permission granted. Varlik blinked in surprise. You're allowing us to stay? The hologram smiled faintly. For now. You witnessed aggression from the Karth. Their actions confirm what history has always shown. Life repeats its patterns. Humanity learned that the hard way. What are you planning to do? Varlik asked cautiously. The hologram's voice became softer. Restore balance. Rebuild civilization. Continue what we started. Varlik hesitated. But there are no humans left. She turned her gaze toward the fortress. Not yet. The fortress lights brightened again. The pods pulsed faster, like beating hearts. The mechanical protectors moved into formation around them. Kieran's scanners buzzed loudly. Captain. Life signatures are forming inside the pods. They're human but not completely organic. What do you mean? They have machine elements, synthetic tissue fused with metal. They're merging human DNA with AI design. It's creating something new. Varlik stared, unable to speak. A new kind of human. Hours passed in silence. The crew watched as the fortress prepared for the next phase. Each pod now glowed like a small star. The AI's voice filled the ship one last time. Phase 3, reclamation begins. The human warships around the fortress came alive, engines burning with white fire. They spread out, heading toward the coordinates that had been transmitted earlier. Kieran whispered, they're going to wake the other sites. Varlik nodded slowly. And when they do, the galaxy will face humanity again, not as it was but as it has become. Then, for the first time, something strange appeared on their sensors. A massive object far behind the fortress, another structure, started to move. It had been hidden in the shadow of a dead moon. Kieran zoomed in and gasped. Captain, that's not a fortress. It's a ship. The largest ship anyone had ever seen. Miles long, covered in black plating, its hull marked with a single word in ancient human text. Horizon. The ship's engines ignited with a deep, rumbling sound that shook every nearby vessel. Varlik whispered, it's their ark, the heart of Project Horizon. As the gigantic ship turned slowly toward the stars, the AI spoke one last message. For 500,000 years we waited. Now humanity travels once more. And as the fortress and its ships followed behind, the galaxy trembled. Because everyone knew what history said, wherever humanity went, change followed. Sometimes hope. Sometimes fire. But never silence. The galaxy watched in silence. Every sensor, every satellite, every living being that could see the stars knew something ancient had awakened. The great ship Horizon drifted through the void, vast as a moon, its black hull glowing faintly with blue energy. Around it, dozens of smaller human warships moved like loyal guardians, escorting their master after 500,000 years of sleep. Captain Varlik and his crew on the Zirith command ship had not left. They couldn't. Something inside them refused to turn away. They had witnessed history and now they were watching something greater, the return of the species the galaxy thought was gone forever. Inside the fortress, the rebirth chambers were opening. The first pod hissed softly as metal petals unfolded, releasing mist into the air. Varlik watched through long-range visuals. Inside, a figure was standing, not machine, not flesh, but both. A human, reborn. It looked young, tall, its skin smooth and pale with faint circuits running under it like veins of light. Its eyes glowed softly, calm yet filled with something powerful. Kieran whispered, "Captain, that's them. That's the new human form." The reborn human stepped forward, breathing slowly, touching the edge of the pod as if testing its own reality. Then it looked up, directly toward the observation drone watching it, and smiled. The entire bridge fell silent. They could feel it, even across the void. That smile was not cold. It wasn't cruel. But it knew. It was the expression of something that remembered everything humanity had once been, and what it had become now. Moments later, more pods opened. Dozens of new humans stepped out, each one glowing faintly, each one calm and silent. They didn't speak, but they looked at one another, as if connected by thought alone. The AI's voice filled the void. Phase 4, Cognitive Synchronization complete. Project Horizon beings are awake. The new humans turned their gaze toward the stars. Their voices joined together in perfect harmony, broadcasting across every open frequency. We are the continuation. We remember the wars. We remember the fall. We remember silence. Now we remember life. The words echoed through space, carried on every signal. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a declaration of war. It was a statement of existence. Humanity, in a new form, had returned. Across the galaxy, panic erupted. Empires sent fleets to the edges of human space. Some prepared weapons, others fled their colonies. The Karth Dominion, what little remained of it, tried to regroup, but their ships refused to leave orbit. Their AIs were infected by human code. Even the mighty Threx Empire went silent. Because deep down, everyone knew the same truth. If humans had found a way to survive death itself, then there was nothing that could stop them now. Back aboard his ship, Varlik stared at the glowing screen. "Kieran, what are we seeing? Are they going to attack?" Kieran shook his head slowly. "I don't think so. Look, their ships aren't targeting anyone. They're just moving." On the sensors, the Horizon fleet began to spread out. Some ships moved toward dead star systems, others toward ancient ruins that once belonged to the human empire. They were not conquering. They were restoring. Suddenly, a new transmission came through, direct and clear. It was a message, addressed to the galaxy. A human voice spoke. "Come. Measured. Powerful. To all who hear this message. We are the legacy of humanity. We do not seek war. We seek remembrance. Long ago the stars burned because of our pride. We will not repeat that mistake. But if any empire threatens this peace, we will show them what it means to awaken us." The message ended. Varlik could feel his chest tighten. There was no anger in that voice, only warning, quiet and final. Hours passed. The Horizon ship began to move again, slowly accelerating toward an unknown destination. The fortress followed, surrounded by its new guardians. Kieran studied the readings carefully. "Captain, I think they're heading toward their old homeworld." Varlik froze. "Earth?" "Yes," Kieran said quietly. "The system once marked as dead. They're going home." The journey took hours. As the Horizon fleet approached the solar system, the stars around them shimmered with the energy of ancient human defense fields reactivating. Old satellites came alive, scanning and identifying the returning ships. Varlik's eyes widened. They left defenses here too. Even after all this time. When the fleet reached Earth, everyone on the Zerith bridge went silent. The planet below was still scorched and gray, burned long ago during the final war. But as the ships entered orbit, something began to change. Massive machines descended from the Horizon ship, floating above the surface. Beams of light shone from their cores, spreading across continents, melting ice, cleaning radiation, rebuilding the world piece by piece. Within hours, green patches appeared again. Oceans shimmered. Clouds formed. Earth was being reborn. Kieran whispered, "They're restoring their world. They're bringing it back to life." Varlik nodded slowly, awe in his eyes. 500,000 years of silence, and they returned not with war but with renewal. Then the human voice returned, softer now as if speaking to the stars themselves. "To those who remained, who built their own worlds, we are not your masters. We are not your enemies. We are the memory of what was lost. And we will guard this galaxy until it learns peace." 4 days the Horizon fleet worked. The fortress became a station in orbit, its lights forming constellations across the night. The new humans spread across the world, walking on soil that had not known life in 500,000 years. Varlik watched them from orbit, unable to look away. They were human, and yet more. They moved with purpose, with calm strength. Machines and minds perfectly one. They are what the old ones dreamed of, Kiran said softly. Not conquerors. Not destroyers. Guardians. Varlik nodded. Maybe the galaxy needed to forget them, so it could be ready when they returned. Weeks passed. Other species began to send messages, cautious greetings, attempts to speak with the new humans. Some were answered. Some were not. But one thing became clear to all. Humanity was not gone. Humanity had become something timeless. They did not rise to rule. They rose to watch. As the Zirith ship prepared to leave orbit, a final message came from the Horizon ship. Captain Varlik of the Zirith Empire. You witnessed our awakening. Remember this moment and tell your people. The stars are vast, but the story of life is one. Humanity was never the end, only the beginning. Varlik closed his eyes, feeling a strange peace. Message received, he said quietly. The ship turned away from Earth, leaving the reborn blue planet shining behind them. And as it drifted into the dark, Varlik whispered to himself. 500,000 years later, and they still command the void.